Hi, I'm Angela Walters from Quilting is My Therapy, and I'm excited to welcome you to week 6 of the Free Motion Challenge Quilting Along, Becoming Successful with Swirls. In this video, we're going to take the Echoed Pebble design that we learned last week, and I'm going to show you how it can make a really neat border design for your quilts. Now, as you remember, I showed you that the Echoed Pebble was as simple as quilting an elongated swirl and ending in a circle. Then, traveling around that circle again and again, really building up that thread, and then echoing around the circle and around the swirl before you move on. The result is what I call an echoed pebble, where that unquilted circle really pops and the dense quilting around it adds beautiful texture. In this example, however, I'm making my echoed pebbles go in all different directions. I'm not really giving them a pattern or a specific placement, but for the border design, that's exactly what we're going to do. I'm going to start by using a water-soluble marker to mark a reference line towards the middle of my border. And I'm going to quilt my echoed pebbles so that they fall somewhere on that line. Of course, this is a technique that you can use in several areas of your quilt. You can mark a line that meanders in around some blocks, that circles around a favorite part of your quilt, or just as a way to break up the negative space of large background areas. But I'm not just quilting these echoed pebbles, I'm filling in around them with other swirls. This is also really going to help those echoed pebbles pop. You could quilt all your echoed pebbles down the middle and come back and fill around it, but I prefer to do it while I'm quilting, that way I don't happen to forget and leave an area unquilted. So here I'm filling in with more elongated swirls, which we learned earlier in this challenge, filling in the space that's left between my echoed pebbles and the edge of the quilt. Now as I fill in that space, then I'm going to come back around and then add my next echoed pebble. Don't worry about trying to make that pebble land perfectly on your line. As long as it's touching somewhere, it's going to follow that general path. Marking out that guideline beforehand will really help you when it comes time to quilt. That way you don't have to worry so much about where to add your echoed pebbles. You know you just have to put them on the line. I don't do a lot of marking, but this is definitely one type of marking that I do. What's great about using this design in a border this way is that I can quilt my border in chunks. I don't have to quilt one part of the design, reposition the quilt, and then come back to fill it in. I can do it all while I'm there, making it much more efficient and less likely for me to forget to fill in an area. And of course, I love how the design looks, whether you're using a blending thread or even contrasting thread. So if you bought the coordinating thread kit, use the color that you think would look best. And there you can see part of my border design where I've quilted those echoed pebbles along that line. Now all it's left to do is to spray it off, and then I'll have this beautiful secondary pattern that will really help draw my eye around the outside of the quilt. But I love to use echoed pebbles in more ways than that. Combining them with other designs is a great way to add a pop of texture to your quilt, whether it's in the borders or big areas of your background. I'm going to quilt a wavy line that works its way across the area, and then at a random point go ahead and end in one of my pebbles. I'm going to do the same thing, traveling and echoing, and I'm actually going to quilt a cluster of them just to really break up that area. And then I'm going to fill in the space between my echoed pebbles and my other quilting with a different design. And here I'm just using a wavy kind of back and forth line. And what's nice is you can add as many echoed pebbles as you want. So here I'm adding a couple more. And I'm using those echoed pebbles as a boundary to fill in with a different design. And of course you could use a different filler. You can use bigger echoed pebbles or less, but what it's really going to do is draw attention to that area. Okay, let me be honest with you. While I am teaching you this variation because it looks amazing, the main reason that I use it, and I want you to use it, is it makes quilting your quilts a whole lot easier. Let's pretend you want to quilt wavy lines over your whole quilt, but your sewing machine has a small throat. Using those echoed pebbles to break up your area will make it a lot easier to fill in those spaces. Plus, it looks really cool. So now it's your turn. Go ahead and fill in the unquilted borders on your quilt. You could use the echoed pebble design like I showed you, or come up with your own fun variations. If you're just a little nervous about quilting the echoed pebbles in your borders, be sure to check out the description box below. It has a link to free downloadable quilting diagrams that I put together just for you. Well, I can't believe that this challenge is over. By now, I hope you're feeling much more confident in quilting your swirls, whether it's to use it as an all-over or to highlight elements of your quilt. But don't worry, I'll be back soon with another free motion challenge. If you've been enjoying these videos or any of my quilting tutorials, I hope you'll give this video a thumbs up or leave a comment below. That will really help get my videos in front of other quilters. Well, I'll see you next week with another machine quilting tutorial. Happy quilting!